Buddy, I'm Derek Michaud, and this is another episode of Flush in the Pocket, presented by Brunswick, sponsored by Just in Time Recreation. And I never thought that we would have to do that, do a announcement like this, or talk about this. First off, I want to introduce Wes Mallot, our guest, 10-time PBA champion, last title of the 2012 Cheetah Championship, 2009 Player of the Year. The King of Bowling, man. You blistered that in 2009. How are you?
I'm doing great, Derek. Thanks for having me, bud.
Absolutely, man. So yeah, of course, everybody knows that or maybe you don't, on Wednesday, October 25th, there was some maniac that decided to go inside Just in Time Recreation, formerly known as Spare Time, and just be a menace and ruin and take some people's lives and injure others. He doesn't even deserve his name mentioned. I mean, rest in peace, Bob Violet and his wife. I cannot remember her name right off. Hold on. Wes, what was his wife's name? I'm so you know right off the top of your head.
Unfortunately, I do not.
That's all right. But it was a very tragic event, and I mean, they are everybody who whose lives were lost. They had an impact on the community, and I mean, Wes, you bowl in Portland for the Lumberjacks. What are your thoughts on this just senseless tragedy?
Yeah, it is definitely a huge loss to many of the Maine and the Portland area. And talking with Charlie Mitchell, the proprietor at Bayside Bowl, it's they might not bowl league there at Bayside, but as we all know, the bowling family is small, and we all know everybody, and just like in an interview I saw in one of the news conferences, everybody that was lost in that mass shooting was in one way touched somebody in the community. And that's just how, a smaller community, that's what you're going to get. And so, yeah, just, tremendous loss to the bowling family. And it hit hard to many people. I mean, I've talked to many people, and whether it's, like I said, Charlie or, Sean Rash, because we did a clinic up north of there at what used to be a sister center, I believe. And, between that and talking to Tommy Jones, who I believe did a clinic in that particular center a few months before the league, everybody kind of knows everybody already. And even though we don't live there, we kind of have our own connection with a lot of people up there as well. So it's, it's just a sad moment in the Portland area.
Oh, absolutely. And her name was Lucy Violet, and rest in peace, Lucy, and everybody who's 18 lives have been lost, and that is just 18 too many. So, we're gonna rebuild as a community and do what we can, and Just in Time Recreation, I'm sure they're going to be opening very soon. They just announced an event, and check them out at justintimebowl.com. I don't know if that's really appropriate to, I guess give the website when we're talking about something like this, but, the rebuild will happen, and, they'll never be forgotten. And, I mean, what more can you say? So our hearts go out to everybody. Adam says, hello, Wes. And, so hello, Adam. Thank you for watching. And so I guess let's get right into it. How did you start bowling?
Well, I don't have the normal background that a lot of professional bowlers have, which is, family members or something own bowling centers or pro shops or something like that. So a little unique, but, before I even you know, before my time, I didn't know it. I guess my mom bowled, and she had to quit bowling because of some back issues and stuff like that, which, you know, but at 10 years old, she asked me, I remember I was playing soccer at the time, and she asked me if I wanted to bowl. And I said, sure, I'll try it. And very quickly gained a love for the sport, and, you know, really started following it when I was about 16 and 15, 16, started working at the bowling center. And that's when I really, really got into it and couldn't get enough of it.
So how did you develop the style that we all know today?
Well, I don't think I can give it, you know, to any particular coach. I think it was all just, you know, a lot of self-taught. Like I said, I grew a love for it. I couldn't get enough of it. I was riding the city bus up to the bowling center. And I mean, I do remember, you know, back in this time is when they were really doing a lot of stats with, you know, keeping track of ball speed and how accurate and all that stuff was back in the 90s. And, you know, the guy that was atop those charts was Parker Bone. Obviously still one of the most solid physical games in the sport to this day. And, you know, just following him and trying to kind of mimic his style and be smooth. And, you know I thought nothing like him, but in my mind, you know, it was smooth and trying to create those fundamentals and that solid game that he has, and then trying to, you know, just make it my own. And that's kind of where it all came from. So, you know, obviously I've had a lot of help along the way with many different coaches and stuff like that, but nobody who's really tried to change my game or say, hey, do this, you know, figure eight swing. Nobody's ever taught me that. And many coaches would not teach that because it's not something that's typically all that easy to repeat. You know, they're going to be looking more at, you know, straighter swing planes and stuff like that. So, I mean, but definitely is effective.
Yeah. Because you kind of go, you get your body out of the way and you go kind of under your, I don't want to say under your leg, but kind of do that, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I start more in the middle of my body with the ball, definitely inside my shoulder. You know, a lot of people will say start in line with your shoulder, but I start inside my shoulder and, you know, push away, and it kind of bumps out, but then it tucks back in. And that's the trick, because that allows my hand to get on the inside of the ball really well. And, you know, obviously gets the ball, you know, going to the right, which is what we all kind of need to do. And then it's a matter of being able to have your hand in the right position to be able to get it back from getting it right. So it's like I said, it's not something that is taught well. What's crazy is I watch my oldest son, Jordan, and he does a lot of very, very similar things. And I didn't teach him how to, you know, I didn't say, hey, we need to bump it out, we need to get it to tuck back in. It's just what came natural to him as well.
Yeah, I think if I went to a coach and I said I either want to throw it like Wes Mallot or Amleto Monticelli or I won't bowl, they're going to be like, well, you know, have a good day. You know, yeah. So Adam wants to know, how you are and how Sarah's doing.
We're doing great. I mean, life is busy, but you know, it's a great life. You know, I'm very fortunate to have her as a wife and be able to call her my wife now. She's an amazing human being in many, many, many ways.
That's awesome.
So we're great. Thanks, Adam.
Was there a major adjustment going from Texas to Indiana? Now you're on the East Coast, and I mean, was an hour difference really that much of a difference, or did you notice it?
I mean, the time change isn't that big for me. I mean, clearly we travel across the world, you know, but, you know, the biggest thing is obviously still having two kids in Texas, and, you know, that hour does kind of affect things sometimes. Puts it a little later here from when they get done with stuff, and, you know, vice versa. So it, you know, it has its ups and downs as everything, but, you know, I've really do enjoy Indiana and Fort Wayne, the community here. People have, you know, welcomed me with open arms, and, you know, we have a great business with a pro shop here, and, you know, created a lot of friendships already here. So it's been great to me. There are some things I definitely miss about Texas. You know, mainly some of the people that are there, but, you know, I can say I definitely probably don't miss the heat too much, but at the same time, I'm not sure I like February in Indiana too much either. So,
right.
You know,
who coached you?
Sorry?
Who coached you?
Like I said, I mean, there's not any one particular person that I can give credit to. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, Chad Murphy's given me pointers, Mark Baker, Del Ballard, Chris Slimmer. I mean, I could probably go on and on. I've had many people probably, take video of my game. Del Nimula. Oh my goodness, I'm going blank. Mike out in Vegas, who's out there with the he's done some video of myself. So there's a lot of people who have helped me along the way, like I said, and but I can't, when I was younger, I don't know that I really had a whole lot of people other than some volunteers that I looked up to, and that sure they helped me along the way. Les Jones is one I can think of, the late Les Jones now. But there's no in particular, like, hey, I had Wes Mallot as a coach when I was a kid, and he helped me, and he's dissected my game, and he's got me to the level I am. Unfortunately, I don't know that I can say that, which is also to me very humbling to be able to know that I've been able to do what I've done in my career without a lot of that stuff. But at the same time, now being in the Hall of Fame, and I definitely can't not talk to people that have helped me along the way. Another one that how I missed, didn't think about it or whatever. Timmy Mack, the manager of the Lumberjacks, big contributor to my success, and definitely some physical, but I'll put a lot of success to Timmy with just the mindset and getting the mind right and getting the drive and the determination. And but definitely he's helped me with mechanics and physical game as well. So
and he loves you to death, man. I mean, you could just see it. I mean, Timmy's a great guy.
We have a pretty special bond, that's for sure.
That's awesome. So as I told you, when you made your first show in 2004, I already knew who you were, or at least I knew your name, because the Columbia 300 Open, you bowled that and you finished 91st, and you were bowling with Kevin Ivey and Mr. McDuff.
Man, you got some old names there.
Yeah. How much difference is there bowling league versus bowling a pro event, and how much of that event propelled you to the PBA tour?
Well, so that Highland Lanes obviously is, that's where we have, I'm going to say we have, it's not, that's where I started the main pro shop business in 2009 when I got back into the pro shop business with a great friend, Gary Robinson, who still has the shop there at Highland Lanes today. But, the tour stop used to come to Highland, and, it was a Columbia 300 Open, and they ran, tournaments because, they would give each proprietor, each venue, however many spots into the tournament. So they would run qualifiers, and, if you won the tournament, you'd win a spot into the PBA tournament. So that particular year, I think I actually won 2 of the 3 or 4 tournaments that they ran. And so that got me into that tournament, and I bowled it, and obviously didn't fare too great. But I do remember, I think I shot 279 the last game to completely save disaster. But, that's all part of the learning curve. This is, for me, probably the beginning of, back then we didn't even call them sport patterns, but, it's, the beginning of trying to figure it all out between that and then joining the PBA in 2001. I think shortly after that, bowling regionals and whatnot, and not even cashing in my first 5 or 6 tournaments. I'm kind of like, is this really for me? Is this what I am supposed to do? And kind of just stuck with it between, friends pushing me and, the guy who took me under his shoulder, Robert Lawrence, continuing to push me and drive me and help sponsor and, when need be and whatnot, and just kept me going. And shortly after, in 2002, won my first regional. So and then it's kind of dominoed from there.
Yeah. So basically, so question number 4 was, what did you accomplish that made you want to try the tour? And you said basically winning that regional, and you said, let's go and try the tour.
Well, I mean, so I won my first regional in Lawton, Oklahoma. I believe that was in April of 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after, in June or July, I ended up winning the RPC, which is the Regional Players Championship that was held at the Gold Coast in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, a few months later, I got a call from the PBA saying, hey, we're going to add the Tournament of Champions back to the national tour. And because of that, we're taking the past 28 champions on tour, the 2 major regional titleists from this year and the 2 major senior regional titleists from this year. And that's how they're going to determine the 32-man bracket. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. It was at the Mohegan Sun up in Uncasville, Connecticut. And, you know, we were guaranteed money. So, you know, how do you not go? I mean,
right.
So we did that. And then people started asking me, hey, are you going to go a bowl out on tour? And I'm like, I don't know. And, but that year I ended up bowling, I want to say like 7 or 9 events, kind of a break even kind of season. Unfortunately, I wasn't really aware of how like player of the year, not player of the year, but rookie of the year worked. And unfortunately, I kind of threw that out the window because I didn't bowl enough events to really qualify myself for that. But, you know, live and learn. And then, you know, the next year they discussed they were going to do the exempt field. So, you know, that season was going to be the year, you know, based off of points is how they were going to qualify for the exempt field. So if I was going to do it, you know, now was the time to do it, I think, and bowled that season and qualified. I think I finished 17th in points. And so just missed the Japan Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are now, 20 years later and 10 titles in the Hall of Fame. And it's like I said, I mean, everything's kind of fallen into place. Everything's kind of dominoed. Everything's happens for a reason. And extremely blessed and humbled to be even sitting here talking to you today about my career, because it's definitely not something that I could have imagined or dreamt of. And it's just incredible.
And you did everything quick. It was like, okay, so you have that tournament in Austin in 2000. And then 9 years later, you're player of the year. So in 2004, you bowled against Mika in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Try saying that 5 times fast. But you guys tied 225. I mean, what was the energy like in that event? Because I mean, you're a very emotional guy, and that had to have gotten you like really pumped up.
Sure, anytime. I mean, you get in an environment like that, it's going to get you. It's going to get the adrenaline flowing for sure.
Mm. Yeah. What would you say is your best moment on tour?
Well, I mean, best moment. I mean, you as far as, you know, competition goes, I mean, how do you kind of, you know, how do you not think about the king of the lanes and in Florida? I mean, as far as memorable moments, you know, there's many, and there's easily probably a top 5 I can rail off, but best moment competitively, I mean, to be able to sweep the king of the lanes against the top, you know, I know I was player of the year that year, but then you've got the next top 10 guys that I'm competing against, and to be able to sweep that event is, I mean, it's pretty incredible, really. Yeah, how I did it, I have no idea, but
we're gonna talk about the king of the lanes coming up, because I mean, that was amazing. What would you say was your worst moment on tour?
Oh, I'm sure I have many, but I try and forget about those because I try and always turn any negative into a positive.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try and find positive out of things. So hopefully that makes me forget about a lot of the negative, but I'm sure there's many out there.
Okay. Yeah. So when you made the king of the lanes look like a league shot, you know, because I mean, you shoot what, 268s, 2 300s. I mean, did you have a game below 250? I don't think you did.
I think I shot 257 against Rhino, if I remember correctly.
Okay. So do you think that, because I know I do you think those 300 should count towards televised 300s?
Honestly, yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and here's the reason why. It's no matter how easy the lanes may be, you still have to knock 10 pins down for 12 consecutive shots. And not only, you know, you're doing it with cameras around, you're doing it with an audience that's basically sitting right on top of you. It's a different environment, and it's still TV. And so, yeah, I mean, I do believe that, you know, no matter who it is, I would say yes, that there should still be credit given there, just because, as I said, I mean, there's many times we bowled on patterns that have been, in my opinion, even softer or easier than what we bowled on there. I mean, it's still, you still have to throw 12 good shots, and you still have to knock 12 down or 10 down every shot. And it's doesn't matter where it's at, you know, you should get credit for it.
No, absolutely.
You know,
what is Scorpion still your favorite pattern? What was it about Scorpion that, you know, you just like so much?
Well, back then Scorpion was 41 feet. And I had a lot of success on it that particular year. And, you know, when we talk about King of the Lanes, you know, as being the top seed, I was able to pick the pattern on every show, and I could have changed the pattern every show. And, you know, trust me, I had thought about it, but I mean, I knew before anything, I knew I wasn't going to pick Cheetah bowling against Parker.
No.
I knew that.
Oh.
You know, I knew that wasn't obvious. I mean, I could have picked Cheetah to bowl with anybody else possibly, but I knew that wouldn't have been a smart play to pick Cheetah bowling up against Parker. And, you know, I don't even remember who was on the first show, but, you know, I think actually I know Norm Duke was, and I think Chris Barnes was the other one. And so I picked Scorpion mainly just because I had success on it that year and did well. And then obviously with, you know, my reaction on it, I continued to pick it, and just ended up bowling all 5 events on that particular pattern, and had a pretty incredible run, as we've talked about. And, you know, it's, you know, the biggest thing from that event that I remember is I had moved up on the approach to slow down. And I went from probably having a 230 reaction like everybody else did to a 260, 270 reaction by moving up on the approach and moving left to zone. It just gave me a little bit better angle through the pins, and the rest is history pretty much. And I even remember the last show that I shot 300 on, I moved up on the approach again because I felt the lanes just getting a little tighter, and I knew the ball could just get behind it a little bit more, and it just wasn't going to be good. And by making that move, it gave me the reaction that I had in the other, you know, 4 shows, and ended up coming away with a second 300. It was pretty surreal day or weekend. It was a couple days. We actually taped all 5 of those events in.
Right. So I want to ask you a question. It's kind of personal. It's about your career, but if you don't want to answer, I totally understand. How hard was it? Because I think your second title was in Hawthorne Lanes in 06.
Something like that, I believe.
How hard was it to bowl when Jordan was going through what he was going through?
Well, you had asked me earlier, you know, what was my best moment on tour, and I told you there's some top, you know, I had probably top 5 moments. You know, and one of those moments was definitely that event, and the reason being is because there was something driving me that week, you know, if you know me very well, you know, my kids are my life.
Oh yeah.
And you know, when he was sick, he had croup, and you know, he was in not in like a main hospital, but he was in a hospital, and just, he had, you know, it was a common thing. This isn't the first time we had to do it. And his mom was with him at the time. So he was, you know, under doctor's care and just had to be, you know, hooked up to an IV. So he was okay. And but he kept driving me to continue to bowl. And the reason why is because all he wanted to do was watch Daddy bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he was locked up in a hospital, hooked up to an IV, and you know, he wasn't able to get there. So he kept driving me and driving me. I mean, if there was a moment where, you know, I might wanted to kind of give up at all. There was no way I could give up that week, because again, all he wanted to do was watch Daddy bowl. So that kept driving me, and it ended up the only way he could watch me bowl is if I made the TV show. And I ended up doing that. And then he was able to be there at the TV show with me, and won 2 matches, and he was able to hoist the trophy with me. And that's definitely probably probably still number 1 in my memory bank for top moments on tour, along with the 2015 US Open when he was 10 years old and went up there with me. And it was just him and I, and he was, you know, a 10-year-old, you're still thinking you're kind of going to have to take care of a little bit, but man, he grew up quickly that week, and he was, you know, helping me move bags and following me, and anything I needed, he was there for me, and without even having to ask. And you know, then being on the TV show there with me, and you know, of course, if you get to watch that, a moment that, and I mean, just getting chills thinking about it and talking about it, he was sitting right next to Bill Chrisman, who we just obviously lost recently.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so that's a moment that obviously hits home, you know, even more right now because of the loss of Mr. Chrisman, but and knowing that Jordan was sitting next to him, and just that's a moment. Those 2 moments will always be in the top 5. I don't know if there's anything else that can knock them out.
I'll never forget that in 2013 when you did win that US Open, and it was like, it was one of those, I've never seen you like that, because I mean, you were pounding your chest and you're like, thank you, Roto Grip, and you were just so emotional, and everything that meant so much to you just came all in one spot. I mean, that was great to see you do that.
I made, you know, I mean, obviously a lot of people remember you for how many, you know, major titles you have. And I mean, when you look at Belmo's career, yeah, he has 31 titles, but that's not what people talk about. Everyone talks about how many majors he has, and how, you know, how he's now, you know, has the record for most majors won. And I believe it's 16, if I'm correct. And which is clearly more than even regular tournaments he has. So he has 16 and 15. But you know, that's my lone major, and you know, I'd made many major TV shows. And actually, I think I saw something come across an email the other day. Somebody puts together some stats. I think I've made 20 major TV shows, and I've only got 1 win. So it took a while to get that win under my belt on the major. And you know, there were a couple of them that were very, very close that I remember. And so yeah, to get that one, and it was the US Open, which is obviously to me and many fellow competitors, that's the one. If you could pick which tournament you want to win, it's the US Open. And that particular tournament was in 3 different centers that year in Columbus.
Yep.
And just incredible to come away with the title there.
It was Wayne Webb's Columbus Bowl.
That was one where we did match play there, I believe. The TV show was kind of on the west side of town, close to the casino, is what I remember.
Okay.
Right next to a railroad track. I do not remember the name of the bowling center.
Sorry.
Then the other bowling center was on the east side of town.
Yep.
So
I had to go to Columbus, Ohio to get my first 600. I went to the sports club in Columbus, and yeah, that's where I got my first 6.
Awesome.
Did you have an opponent that you beat a lot on tour?
There were a couple. One, or the 2 that are clearly obvious are, one, Parker Bone. You can just ask his kids; they'll tell you. You can ask his wife. There was one time the kids went to Leslie and was like, "Why does Wes always have to beat Daddy?" And you know, it's, you know, luckily, you know, we have a great relationship, and all the kids still love me, and you know, they understand that wasn't anything personal.
Oh, of course not.
And, but that also goes from mom and dad teaching them, and that it definitely wasn't anything personal. The other one, though, is Chris Barnes. I seem to have his number on TV as well.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two that definitely come to mind.
Who has your number?
Pretty much any of my close friends. When you start bowling them on TV, it's tough because you want the best to win, and then of course you might not be taking it quite as serious. You might not be in the zone quite as much. Obviously, a couple of those come to mind. Tommy Jones, DJ Archer are a couple of the ones that really come to mind. Tommy mainly. We bowled each other a lot on TV back in the late 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, how hard is it to bowl Tommy? So today, if you don't mind me saying this, today is the 18th anniversary of his Tulsa championship. He did that October 30th of 2005.
Well, that's a memory I won't forget.
And and then of course, what happened in the Ace Hardware Championship? That was in Wycliffe. The ball hooked on the last shot or something like that, and you needed a double, and you're like, you didn't hook all week and now you do, or something like that. You remember those shots?
I remember a comment very similar to that, if not identical to that. I couldn't tell you exactly where it was. I do remember Wycliffe. I do remember because we went Tulsa, which Tommy won. And then the next week we went to Lakeland, or basically Denver, and I ended up winning the next week for my first title.
Right.
And then from there, I think it probably was Wycliffe, which was outside of Omaha. And I know I had a four tournament stretch where I made the show. I do remember that. But I can't remember that shot in particular, but definitely a pretty incredible run for me.
Oh, definitely. So when you had your match with Michael Wilbon, see, that kind of annoyed me a little bit because I don't think he knows bowling. Was that all in fun, or did you take any offense to that at all? I mean, who's this guy trying to talk to me about my sport that I play for a living?
In the moment, I'm sure, I definitely took it a little personal, but, at the same time, I don't know that I took it too personal, just because, I mean, I know what PTI, I kind of understand what they're doing there. And obviously what's so funny about it is Wilbon's the one who called me out. And now if you were to bring it up, or they were to bring it up on PTI at this point, Wilbon's now going to be the guy that's going to defend me to no end. And Tony's going to be the one that's going to be bashing on me. So, I gained a lot of respect from Michael Wilbon that day. And
how did that turn around?
Just, I helped him, and I think he understands I'm a genuine guy, and he also, I think, learned a lot that day from me trying to help him, and then seeing us bowl. Seeing it on TV is always different than seeing it in person. And then not only seeing it in person, you're on the exact same lanes that what we're on. And you're on the exact same environment. So understanding that, and then understanding, the equipment after we talked to him about it, and understanding, just being much more knowledgeable about it, it gives you a whole different perspective of what's going on. And I think that's exactly what happened that day. And that's why Wilbon will defend me and probably any of the PBA athletes to no end, because he understands it a lot more. But it's also part of the show, and I understand that, and that's what they're supposed to go back and forth, and that's what generates interest into that show, and that's what keeps that show on the air. So I get it. There's no hard feelings one way or the other. I laugh at it now, and I take a great experience away from it. So it was a lot of fun.
What's harder, 54 straight games, no match play, or 56 games with match play included?
I like match play.
Yeah.
With bonus pins. That's just that to me. That's the best format we have. I know there's bonus pins, and I know a lot of guys don't like the bonus pins, but I don't like bowling just games straight. It's just like we continue to bowl qualifying and qualifying and qualifying and qualifying, and with match play, here's the thing. When I first came out on tour and we bowled, 64 guys were bowling. We bowl however much. We cut the field in half to 32. We bowl best of 7 matches all the way to TV. There's different things that you have to learn. First, you have to learn how to bowl qualifying. Then after you bowl qualifying and you make it to match play, now you have to learn how to bowl match play. And it could be best of 7 matches. It could be round robin. Both of those are different, and how the lanes are going to break down and how to, bowl against competition, because you're going to bowl a best of 7 match. You got to have strategy. You got to learn. You got to think about how you want to break the lane down. Do you want to break it down and be offensive, or do you want to break it down and be defensive? It depends on who you're bowling. Prime example. I don't know that I've ever lost a best of 7 match to Walter Ray Williams Jr. And that's just because of how I can break the lanes down to the right and chew him up and force him left. And then at that point, he's got no chance of beating me, because now I can get left to him and my angles and the pins are just going to be better. It's just the way it is. And then of course you're bowling round robin match play. You just got to win games. You got to get those 30 bonus pins. So, and then once you get through that and you make TV, now you got to learn how to bowl on TV. So there's all these different stages that you have to learn how to bowl, because they're all different. And if you're just going to bowl games and bowl 8-game blocks and 8-game blocks and 8-game blocks, what are you? You're not doing anything different. You're not having to learn anything that much different. You just continue to do the same exact thing. And to me, that's kind of boring. And there's not a whole lot of meaning to it. I know there's meaning to it, but it's not as much as, if you bowl 24 games of round robin match play and you got a double in the 10th, 4 of those games, how much confidence is that going to give you going into TV? I just doubled in the 10th 4 times to win matches, and that's what got me to TV. Now go do it on TV and go win.
Yeah.
If you just double in the 10th, bowling games, but there's not a whole lot of meaning there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's my personal opinion. Yep. I know everybody has their own, and that's what's great about this. But I really like round robin match play, and I'm glad they've announced the Players Championship, and that's what we've got this year.
Nice, that's awesome. So what was your favorite tour stop?
Well, now it's the PBA League.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I think that's probably for many, many people. But overall, through my career, I've still got to say Medford, Oregon was one of my favorites. Not only did I bowl well there, it was just a blast. The way they ran the pro-ams, it's a blast.
You won there in 2008.
And they also took really, really good care of us. They brought in a chef to feed us pretty much daily. And then, and had different meals every day. They were top notch. Yeah. And yes, I bowled well there. Two-time defending champion still, actually.
What's that?
2-time defending champion still, actually. So it's that's a place I miss for sure.
You won there on Cheetah in 2008. You matched up pretty good there. Throwing it to the gutter helps you sometimes, no?
I in my earlier parts of my career, Cheetah definitely. If you ask my accountant, he would tell me to go bowl on Cheetah. Because I made a few dollars on Cheetah back in the earlier parts of my career for sure.
How much fun do you have bowling in Portland? My gosh, the crowd just eats it up. It's just you can't think,
Yeah, no, it's I will tell you, it has gotten a lot easier over the years.
Yeah.
But the first few years and being in an environment like that, we've never seen anything like it. So yeah, it was nerve wracking.
Sure.
And it's still nerve wracking, but definitely, as anything, you gain experience, and prime example, when we go into drafting our team and whatnot, I mean, that's a big part of it. That's having experience and being able to control your nerves and be able to compete in that environment is a part of what we consider when we're drafting our team.
What do you think is going to happen to you guys next year? Are you coming back? I'm sure you are, right?
I plan on it.
Yeah.
Unless something unforeseen happens, I plan on being there for sure.
Back still, how's the back?
The back's good.
Awesome.
Back's good. I hope we can get through. Last season sucked. I mean, there's no better word for it. It just sucked.
Yeah.
Just not being able to compete and having to deal, there's nothing worse than having a back injury. And I mean, you mentioned, we talked about top 5 moments in my career. I finished 12th at the Tournament of Champions this year. What's anybody ever going to think about finishing 12th at the Tournament of Champions? I mean, it's still great, but to make the TV, and I know it was a glorified TV show, but right. To be able to make the TV show feeling the way I felt, and to be able to get through it and win matches, that, I mean, I'm the only one that knows the kind of pain I was in. Nobody else knows that.
Can I be honest with you? That was hard to watch.
Clearly, you can say you can tell I was in pain.
Yeah.
And I understand that, and I'm not discrediting any of that, but that moment last year at the Tournament of Champions is got to be a top 5 moment in my career, in my opinion. Just knowing what I had to go through, and to be able to battle through that and get to TV, and then be able to even win matches on TV. It just, to me, that's a top 5 moment in my career. That's how hard that was.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I was just like, oh no. Every shot, I'm like, oh my God, he's not himself. And I felt sorry, man.
Last year was myself.
Huh?
Nothing last year was myself, and that's what I'm actually looking forward to getting out there this year and being able to compete and not have to worry about my back every week. So I'm looking forward to that.
What was your least favorite tour stop?
I don't know that I had a least favorite. I mean, I can tell you that one place that I don't enjoy, or not that I don't enjoy it, but a place that I haven't seemed to score very well at is the stadium.
Oh.
The stadium has never, I don't know. I've never seemed to do very well there. That's just something that's always stuck with me. And, but I don't know that I dislike it, but I've never done very well there.
It's a bucket list item of mine to go there.
It's a neat place if you've never been there. That's for sure.
They don't have any house balls. You have to bring your own stuff. What is it like over there?
It's just, what's crazy is the ceiling height, and having a ceiling that high, and then seeing 78 lanes. That's 78, 80 lanes. That's a lot in a row. And being in the stadium, it doesn't look like that much when you're talking about however tall the ceilings are from the floor. And of course, the floor that the lanes are on is already 2 levels up. So you've got another probably 3 or 4 stories to go to get to the ceiling. So you've got to have 60 feet ceilings. They're up there. So just, it's like I said, it's a neat place to go. If you've never went, I would definitely recommend going if you ever get a chance, because it's just one of those places. It's a neat place. It's, I know they built South Point's Pavilion, and I love that building. And, that's a neat place in its own, but it's still not, it's still different than the stadium. The stadium is definitely still different.
Where do you want the PBA to go next that they haven't gone to yet?
I haven't in my career. You know where I want to go? Texas.
Yeah.
I'd love to go bowl in Texas because I don't know. I mean, we used to have a tournament in Dallas.
Yep.
And I think since I've been on tour, we've only bowled there once, maybe twice in my entire career.
Okay.
So, I would love to go bowl in Austin, Texas. I don't know that it will ever happen, but I would love to.
I'd love to see Highland Lanes again. It's a nice place. Is Don Carter's All-Star Lanes gone?
Up in the Dallas area?
Yeah.
Well, Don Carter, what used to be Don Carter West.
Yep.
Then was USA Bowl has officially closed its doors and is no longer.
Oh.
Fort Worth, Don Carter City View.
Yep.
Is no longer. It's not Don Carter, but it is City View Lanes. That is still their center. And actually, the person who took over both of them, just let one go. Let USA Bowl go, but they still have City View Lanes, and that's where Dell and Carolyn, Doran Ballard have their pro shop. Oh, that's okay. One of their pro shops. So, again, a large center, 50 something lanes, I believe, if not 60 something.
Sure.
And so definitely one of the bigger centers still in the Dallas area, and a nice center.
Oh, awesome. All right, so let's get into the rules. PBA rule you agree with?
I got to probably go with like dress codes.
Okay.
Is definitely something I think we still need to stick by some dress codes for sure.
Is it still a thing where you have to wear your name on the back of your shirt? I've heard that's gone away.
No, that is still a thing.
Good.
Absolutely. I mean, we all wear jerseys now, so it's a lot easier than, taking a shirt, say like what I have, where I have some logos and whatnot, and then having, patches. I definitely don't like the patches. So yeah. The jerseys have been nice. You can design them. You can do a lot of different things with them. You can be more personal with them. And then obviously the logos are part of the shirt and they're not patches or sewn on or anything like that. So they're much cleaner and much more professional looking.
And your name is your signature?
I do use my signature. That's a lot awesome. Of guys used to do that back in the day. And I mean, I like my signature. I think it's unique and eye-catching. And so I like my signature. I continue to do that.
That's awesome. What is a rule that you don't agree with?
I'm sure there's many. I glanced over these questions before, and I did see that one. One that kind of comes to mind that can kind of get me a little bit is the re-rack rule. I mean, we get 2 a game, and they're very, very strict about that. Mm-hmm. The thing is some places we go, the racks aren't all that great for whatever reason, and I don't know that 2 re-racks a game is always going to be enough. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, and that's very, very minimal. I'm not a guy who re-racks a whole lot anyway.
Right.
So I think that might be part of the reason why I think it's, so if I'm taking a re-rack and I think a re-rack rule's not enough, that's kind of, there's a reason why, you know what I mean?
Is it 2 re-racks a game even during qualifying and match play?
Absolutely. Two a game anytime.
Okay.
And that's PBA.
No, the reason I ask is because when the PBA went to Milford, Connecticut, and the PWBA, I went to that tournament, and when I was watching the show, they said that Jan Schmidt said that the women are allowed 5 re-racks during the week. The men, you guys, I'm not sure how many you were allowed back then, but you guys compromised and you guys were allowed 3 re-racks during the week. I mean, are the racks that bad?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I'm talking about this. If we were to make it 5 re-racks a game, we would never get done because there are some guys who re-rack a perfect rack, in my opinion.
Sure.
So, I mean, there are definitely some, I'm not naming any names, but there are some and they know who they are. I mean, they use every re-rack every round, it seems like. So, yeah, if we made it 5, I mean, we would never get done. Sure, so there's a reason why that's in there. So at the same point, I probably shouldn't be complaining about it. And not that I am complaining about it. It's just sometimes maybe the rules should be written maybe a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but at the same time, you can't be lenient to one person because it's got to be fair across the board. And honestly, two a game is plenty fair. And that's probably not a good rule for me to say I don't disagree with, to be honest with you, the more we talk about it.
All right. What's not a rule that should be?
I'm sure they're out there. It's not coming to the top of my mind. I know there's some that are out there. But one rule that a lot of people don't know, which I should have got called on, is, and I only bring this to maybe educate people. Mm-hmm. One time because I balk a lot, right? I definitely used to balk a lot more than I do now. But so I remember balking once, and I let the ball come off my hand, but I stepped on top of the ball cap. So technically I went across the foul line, but I didn't release the ball on the lane. I did release the ball because it came out of my hand, but I caught it. And then I threw the shot. It was brought to my attention a few frames later that that's actually a foul because I released the ball out of my hand. If I could have came up and left it in my hand, and as long as I don't release the ball, it's not a foul.
Right.
Prime example, the Machuga flop. You know about that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the time he did it on TV when he won, guess what? The ball never came off his hand. That's not a foul.
Right.
Even though he went halfway down the lane with the ball, it's not a foul because it never released from his hand. As long as he didn't take it off of his hand before he crossed back over the line, it's not a foul.
Yep.
So
in, I want to say 2009, this is kind of off the sheet. On 2009, you bowled a tournament. I think you bowled the tournament of champions, and you used to roll a full roller at your spares, but you got a blister on your thumb. Do you still not do the full roller, or do you?
Man, did you do your homework?
Not,
you just remember all this stuff?
I watch a lot of bowling, man.
Man, that's incredible. I remember exactly. It was a green Scout I was throwing back then too. That's how crazy it is. Yeah. So there's two spots on your hand where you want to callus. I'm trying to get this to where it feels. So you want to callus here.
Right here, right?
And you want to callus here.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was this pad right here that blistered, and it's just from bowling a lot of games. And it's blistered more than once, but that was clearly a main one. Mm-hmm. And it calloused up and it blistered and it came off. And by throwing a full roller, I kind of grabbed it. And I couldn't grab it because it hurt too much. So I had to learn how to kind of roll it off my hand a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that might have been one of the best things that ever happened to me because I feel like I'm probably a better spare shooter because of it now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I don't track full roller anymore. I clearly still flatten my hand out and still go much straighter at it, but it's just, to me, it's a little smoother, it's a little cleaner release, and it's a little bit more accurate. So, yeah, it's more of a 3/4 roller now, and has been really since that day.
So to answer your question, I don't really. I was I'm sure you know Bowling with the Pfeff with Andrew Pfeffer.
Okay.
I kind of want to get you in touch with him so you can be on his show as well. He's a great guy. He kind of inspired me to do this because a lot of people way back in the day was, oh, you should do a bowling podcast. I don't know if I'll be good. I don't know, whatever. And he asked, we were on and we were talking about my podcast, and he says, when you interview these guests, how much research do you have to do? I said, really not a lot, because when I watch a match, if something sticks out in my mind, I'll remember it forever. I don't care how stupid it is, how unimportant it is, how important it is. I will just remember it. And I remember that. And like, I remember your fouls against Liz Johnson and Tommy Jones. But when I started this, I was like, I don't want to put anybody off. Like, I don't want to ask somebody a question, then you know what, this is done or whatever. I know that I could be a little off-putting with my knowledge and stuff. I never want to be.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Awesome.
That's impressive.
Awesome. So what is an easier telecast to prepare for, a taped telecast or a live telecast?
Well, I don't know that is the question that I'll really answer. I don't know that one's easier than the other, but what I will say is I would much rather bowl a live show than a tape show.
Sure.
And there's multiple reasons. Number one factor, the crowd. A live show is always going to be better and much more entertaining and much more electric and live than a tape show. Just there's nothing about it. And part of that probably is as well because of where I'm going with it next. A tape show, well, you can bowl this when you go to a commercial break. They can take a 20-minute commercial break if they want because it's taped. But a live show, they've got 3 minutes. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. We got to get back live. Yeah. So, and you know that. So there's not going to be a long break because we all know we can't take shots in between in the middle of a game.
Right.
If you're in the middle of a game, you can't go take shots on another lane anywhere. I mean, you're still in the middle of a match. So I would much rather bowl a, prime example. We bowled the league. The first show we made, why, I don't know, but it was taped. And I'm like, why are we bowling a tape show? Every other show is live. Why is the show we're on tape? But it is what it is. And we know that going in and we know what the cards were dealt and we got to play them the best we can. But, I would much rather bowl, and that show ended up being actually really good. They did really good with the timing and the breaks and stuff like that. But I've been on shows where the producer's out in the truck or something's just not where they want it and not what they want, and they take a longer break trying to fix it and get it all set up. And man, those are frustrating.
What did they do on Tuesday? I remember they actually, I think on Tuesday they put I don't know if it was the Strike Derby.
The Strike Derby they put, and what's great, but it wasn't live either.
No, they
Our
put that
show went live right when they started taping that.
Yeah.
So I was like, why didn't they flip and do the Derby during the day and then do our show live?
Exactly.
I'm sure they have their reason. And that, again, that's fine. We know what cards we were dealt, and it's our job to be able to take that hand of cards and play them the best we can. I mean, and that's plain and simple. I mean, that's how you have to look at it. We don't know all the reasons, and I'm sure they had reasons, and it's perfectly okay.
Yep. So, how much longer do you think you'll be out entertaining us on TV on bowling shows?
Well, I know we're good for at least one more year.
Yeah. Okay.
I honestly, I really don't know. I just know I am definitely bowling this year because there is no way I can be done after last year.
No, I get that.
But time will tell, and we'll just have to see. I don't have an answer. And I know people have been talking, and I know I've maybe made some comments here because it might be getting a little harder, but some of that's on me. And it's, we're, 2 or 3 months away from tour, and I plan on being in a little bit better shape than what I'm in. And I at least am going to make this year worthwhile, and I'm going to be better. And
what are your goals for this year?
Plain and simple. I just, nothing unrealistic. I mean, clearly I would love to win another title, and there's many factors I can blame it on, or factor it maybe too, but some that are kind of out of my control and some that are in my control. And my job is to take care of what I can control, and that's kind of where we're at. And we're gonna be in a little better shape and a little bit stronger this year, and we're gonna give it a go this year, and we'll see where that takes us, and then we'll kind of go from there. I think is where we're at.
Awesome. So finally, we're gonna do a thing called going flush in the pocket. When was the last time you shot 300, Wes? I know it was probably recent.
No, it wasn't recent. I told you I've been through back injury all season long. So no, it's honestly, I don't know if I can even give you that answer.
That's all right. You're gonna bowl one tonight, and you don't even need your back or anything. And I apologize. You did tell me that.
No, you're good. You would think I'd be able to give you that answer, but I don't know that I can't, because it has been a while. I mean, rough year. I mean, but sure. Many more to come.
Yeah, that's all right. What's your favorite food?
I mean, I got to go either steak and lobster.
Okay. Favorite music?
Music, country.
There you go.
Hands down.
Check out my radio station, b105radio.com.
Awesome.
Favorite toy as a child?
Well, when I was a child, we had toys, but it's different. I mean, now we're trying to kick kids out of the house to go play outside, and back then we couldn't. We were getting yelled at if we weren't back home in time. So I was out messing around with anything and everything that I could get my hands on back in the day. And I grew up on 3 acres of land and kind of somewhat in the country. So, we had plenty of things I grew up with horses, so a little different. So I don't know that I can really say a toy, but I had plenty of things to get my hands messed with.
There you go. What do you do to take your mind off of bowling?
Well, I told you earlier, my kids are my life. And so that's probably anything I can do with my kids is going to get my mind off of it and have a good time. I mean, so I got a text from my oldest son, Jordan, the other day. He said, "Hey, I'm coming home this weekend, and I'll probably be home about 6. You think we could go up to Empowered and I can get some hitting in?" And to get that text from him, at 20 years old, he's still playing baseball, and he wanted to go up and get some reps in the cage. And that's to get that text is what it's all about.
Is he going to go on tour, you think?
For bowling?
Yeah.
Well, time will tell with that as well. I mean, he's playing baseball in college right now, and we'll see where baseball might take him. And if baseball doesn't pan out, then bowling might be part of it as well. I mean, he's a sophomore in college, so he still has a lot of time. And I don't know that anything is obviously clearly set in stone, but I mean, he's obviously a great bowler and has already made a name for himself in the regional competition and around this area, and he will continue to do so, I believe. So bowling will always be there. Bowling will always be an option, and if need be, and baseball doesn't work out or he doesn't have a career lined up with a job or something, then yeah, you'll see him around here and there. That's for sure.
Excellent. Favorite vacation spot?
Probably anywhere there's some water.
Oh,
I mean, I will say that my wife Sarah loves her Disney, and she's kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. I do enjoy going to Disney. We've actually made 2 trips where it's just kind of been an adult Disney, and those have been some pretty nice trips too, when it's just her and I, when we're not having to worry about the kids, haul them around and stuff like that. I mean, we obviously love that as well, but it's different. And so between that and just going wherever there's water, whether it be lake, ocean, I don't know, I love water.
To fish or swim?
Just to be in the water. I mean, I don't fish a ton, but I do want to. I did tell her we were actually right after we got married, we went to North Carolina to a beach house, and just to kind of hang out and get away for 3 or 4 or 5 days. And the guys next to us who rented the house, they were fishing and they caught a shark. And I said, I wouldn't mind actually just once in my life just going deep sea fishing and just seeing what it's all about.
Sure. There you go. You're dying of thirst. What is your go-to beverage?
Sweet tea.
I figured it. I knew that.
Sweet tea is my nemesis, but I will say this is sweet tea. but it does not have sugar in it.
Okay.
It's the Southern sweet tea that you can make, put the tea bags in, it makes it, and I don't know what in the world it is, but there's 0 calories, 0 sugar, and it tastes phenomenal. I love it.
No, I'm a Pepsi guy. I'm a soda guy, and I get a lay off it so bad.
Yep, sodas and sweet tea, the sugar, it's got to go. It's gone. It is gone.
There you go. So, are you a party all night or quiet night at home kind of guy?
Where am I at right now? Well, you can't tell. I'm at Rotogrip.
Well, yeah,
I am at home.
Yeah,
I am at home, and definitely have never. What's funny, I grew up in Austin, Texas, and lived there pretty much my entire life until I moved here about 3.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, "Oh, you go down to 6th Street all the time?" I lived there my entire life. I bet I had been to 6th Street twice.
6th Street, where's that?
Downtown Austin. It's a big. It's the big drag where all the bars and clubs and all that stuff. That's where everybody goes. 6th Street. Oh, okay. And like I said, maybe twice in my life have I been to 6th Street at night when everything's going on. And one of those before I was even 21, I remember going to like a haunted house or something down there with some friends. So I don't even know that I consider that. I've never been down there to go hang out and drink and do all that stuff. I'm not a big drinker.
Yeah. Oh, you don't look a day over 21, buddy. You know.
Oh yeah, let's cover this up.
What do you let's see. What are you binge watching right now?
She's been watching this show, and I'm starting to get hooked on it a little bit, but it's called Suits. Mm-hmm. And it's about a bunch of lawyers and stuff like that, and they're going back and forth, and of course, I'm not big on lawyers and legal and all that stuff. I just want the world to be perfect and everybody to get along and do all that stuff and not have to worry about people suing them to get money for free and do this and do that. And, go work for your money, go earn your money and go enjoy your life. Do the right things, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That's just the type of person I am.
Yeah.
So why I'm gaining interest in it, I really don't know. At first I was like, really like turned off by it, but she's like dead into it. She loves it. I mean, she could be, in my opinion, she could be a lawyer if she wanted to. She's just good like that. And, but I've actually gained a lot of interest into this show. So
does she watch stuff like Bachelor and any of that stuff? No.
I mean, she used to, I think, but not since I've been around. Maybe she found The Bachelor. I don't know.
There you go. That's awesome. That is awesome.
She's so lucky. She'll tell you.
Oh yeah. You're a great guy. I mean, you always have been. You have any phobias?
Not really.
Yeah?
Not really.
All right.
Nothing crazy anyway. Actually, hang on. I will say I hate snakes.
Right there with you.
I hate snakes. I don't know what it is. A friend of mine in like high school that I bowled with and all that, he had a snake. I used to have no problem a boa. Never had a problem messing with them. But the older I've gotten, I don't know. And of course, being in Texas with all the poisonous snakes, it just scares me that one day, I don't know. I just don't like them.
No, that's totally understandable. I'm right there with you. If you were never a pro bowler, what would you have done with your occupation?
I am guessing I probably would have been a trim carpenter because I did trim homes before I went out on tour. And I still love my woodworking. I've got tons of tools in the garage, table saw, chop saws, every drill you can think of. It's just what I love. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of my pro shop, but there's an accent wall where all, in the balls. And I built this huge cabinet that's actually, it's 10 foot tall. It's 6 different pieces. Mm-hmm. And built all the doors to the storage on the bottom. And I love my woodworking. It's, awesome. I completely dressed out my entire pro shop myself, along with a little bit of help here and there, but, design in my mind and then putting it all together and watching it come together is, I don't know. I really enjoy that.
Strike a lot pro shop. That's still your pro shop?
No, Mallot's Bowler's Den now.
Oh,
Strike a Lot's down in Texas, and you know, I sold out to Gary, and Gary's still running them down there. But you know, just being up here, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. We were able to agree on it, and kind of parted ways. But we still talk all the time. You know, we still help each other with our own businesses and whatnot, and still a great friendship. And that's, you know, that was what was most important to us when we went through this, is to still be able to have a friendship at the end
I
of
have
the day.
a friend who I think might have been to your pro shop. She talks about you and EJ quite a bit. Christine
Sure.
Sparrow. I don't know if you've ever drilled stuff for her, but
It doesn't ring a bell off the top of my mind, but definitely could be. I mean,
yeah.
we're very fortunate and have, you know, we take a lot of pride in it. And if you're ever in Fort Wayne, I would definitely highly recommend stopping by to see, because like I said, we take a lot of pride, and a lot of people talk about us. It's 1,200 square feet. It's huge.
I'm there.
It's, you know,
me twice. I am so there.
It's beautiful.
Oh, I bet. If you could trade sports with one athlete for a day, they're a Pro Bowler, you're a what? Who is it?
In my lifetime, I mean, I think I would have to say Tiger Woods. And the reason being is because Tiger had a different drive than anybody else I've ever seen in my career or my life, his career. You know, he didn't win tournaments by 1 or 2 strokes. I mean, he won the Masters by what, 15 strokes? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, Belmo is very similar. There's a different thing, and you know, to lead tournaments by that much and continue to grow that lead is hard. I mean, leading a tournament by 100 or 200 pins, okay, but to lead it by 600, 1,000, as far as bowlers go, I mean, that is so hard to lead by that much. And I've seen Belmo do it. I've seen EJ do it. I mean, it's just, and Tiger was that way. I mean, I every now and then I'll see clips come up of when he was a kid, of, you know, first tournament, and he's like, I'm here to win. And everybody thought he had this big ego and everything else. And I remember the guy who was interviewing him was like, well, you got a lot to learn, kid. Well, now he's got 80 something titles. And I mean, clearly the best, I say the best golfer to ever live. I mean, obviously he's dealt with a lot of injuries as well, but
yep.
It's different. It is different.
You know, I got to be honest with you, Wes. I think you're one of the nicest guys I've ever talked to, and you really are. You're one of the nicest people we've, you know, bowling's ever known. How do you want to be remembered when you are no longer on this earth?
Well, it means a lot that you say that, Derek. I appreciate that. I just, like I said, I try and be genuine. I try and be, you know, I love all of my kids. I love my wife. I love my family. And, you know, as far as being remembered, you know, everybody I mean, the bear on the logo. The story behind that is, you know, Sarah always called me her bear. And, you know, so it was pretty fitting when we decided to open up a pro shop together that a bear needed to be in the logo. And we finally came up with something and found something. Obviously, we didn't want a mean bear, but at the same time, we wanted a bear that looked like he had control and, you know, wasn't going to be pushed over and whatnot. And that's kind of what we came up here. I mean, we got a bear sitting on top of mountains looking over, but a kind bear as well. And, you know, I think that's what I would want is, I mean, people just knowing me, not for being this big monster, because I'm not, clearly, as you said, but, you know, just being a teddy bear. And that's what I am. And, you know, yeah, I mean, I can, you know, they say don't wake the bear. And that's true. don't wake the bear, because the bear can definitely be woken, but it takes a lot to wake this bear. And this bear is going to always be kind and be loving and be helpful.
And the name of your pro shop again is
Mallot's Bowler's Den.
Mallot's
As you see right here.
I think that's awesome. Real quick before we end this, which one of your when you were on tour, you had several nicknames. Which ones did you like? Which ones couldn't you stand?
Well, I don't know that I like the Big Nasty either.
Really?
I mean, the thing is that one stuck, and that's because that one came out the year I was Player of the Year, and I made a lot of TV shows and was talked about a lot that year. But the Big Nasty isn't because I'm a mean guy or anything like that. I'll explain it. The Big's pretty obvious: 6'5", 270 pounds plus now. But the Nasty came from my ball roll and what my ball did to the bowling pins, not me as a person. And so that's where Randy kind of came up with that. And then I kind of told him I wasn't a big fan of it, so he tried to come out with the Kraken. Well, I put a rest to that one really, really quick. Just it didn't fit, didn't make sense. One earlier in my career that some of the guys still call me is Beast. Big Wes clearly is always one that's going to be sticking around. So I mean, those are probably the most common. I'm sure there are some other ones floating around that are probably maybe a little more personal, but those are the main ones that kind of have stuck and have some meaning behind them as well.
So I kind of lied a little bit. I'm going to let you go after I do this. I have a buddy who's actually, his name is Wes as well. Wes Parker. His birthday is today, and he's a big fan of yours. Like you're one of those.
Happy birthday, Wes.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's Parker Bone, you, and Norm Duke are his top three. So if you want to just wish him a happy birthday, send him a birthday message. I will I will record it right now and send it to him right off.
Absolutely. Wes, first of all, thanks for being a fan, but more importantly, happy birthday to you. Wish you the best. Hope you had a great day. And kind of crazy you say that. My birthday, mine and Sarah's birthday, were here just 4 days ago on Thursday. So not too far apart. Hopefully a little younger than me, though.
38. So thanks for that. And let me just ask you a question off the air real quick. And that was Wes Mallot, Flush in the Pocket. Tomorrow night we got Doug Kent. So he's gonna have to,
Dougie Fresh.
Yeah, he's gonna deal with my memory a little bit. I've never talked to him, so he doesn't know what he's getting into. But
Doug's a great guy. He's helped me a little bit along the way too.
Yeah, there you go.
Doug's a great guy.
That'll be tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Wes, thank you so much for doing this. And that was Flush in the Pocket, presented by Brunswick, sponsored by Just in Time Recreation, justintimebowl.com. Thank you guys. And hang on, Wes, I'll be right there. Hold on.